we're here at the Chrono event booth at PAX. I'm with
Philip Morales.
And what's your role exactly?
Part creative director, part environment artist, part designer, level designer. We just kind of wear all kind of hats when there's a team of 4. So we do a little bit of everything.
And so give me the elevator pitch. Like, what is this game?
This game, you have the ability to rewind time, re-enter the timeline, and then assist yourself however you see fit. You also can rewind time to kind of help you avoid peril. Like, let's say you fall off a cliff by accident. Before you splat, just rewind out of it. Get back onto the ledge, and next time don't fall off. Take a different route next time. So it's the ability to rewind time and then use it to your advantage.
And you're also to use that former self to help you do combat. So he's distracted, and 2 of us are shooting him.
Yes. So you might come across like a very tanky enemy, somebody who requires like multiple hits to take out. So you can go into the room, start shooting him, rewind, and re-enter the timeline, and now there's 2 of you shooting him. Rewind again, re-enter the timeline, and now there's 3 of you shooting him, and then you take him out. So you want to use that as much as you possibly can to your advantage.
When I was playing it, because I'm able to help myself with 2 people, I thought of the phrase single player co-op.
That's exactly right. We love that as well, because it's like that's exactly what you're doing, and we want you to have fun doing it.
What was the most difficult part when it came to development? What were you really struggling with? Like, we're just not getting this, but eventually clicked.
Rewinding time and then using that to your advantage, because like we discussed, us as human beings don't rewind time too often and then re-enter a timeline. So it was making that feel smooth but also feel intuitive. It was a very difficult thing to do, and we worked on it very hard. And then the second thing was like mobility, making sure you're moving through the space or a combat arena in a very graceful way, and then rewinding time and using that. Like it was something we really worked on to put together in a graceful way, but we feel like we're getting there.
I really like how you just skate across all the levels. I kept forgetting that to dodge all the time, and that's why I just kept dying. But yeah, so when it came to like your visual aesthetic and your movement decision making, where did you pull that from?
Well, we love anime and just all of that style. We also love games like Vanquish. Vanquish is a game that does a lot of skating like that, and we loved it. And then they had this cover mechanic where you're kind of encouraged to get behind cover and use that. And we love games like Doom where there's not much cover at all. Like you're really encouraged to just push, move. And we felt like if we take the skating from Vanquish with that movement and pushing of Doom and kind of combine them together, it would just feel really good. Power sliding and just moving through an arena, not only gracefully and beautifully, but effectively. And when you combine that with rewinding time, you can really get the drop on an enemy and feel good, but look good doing it too. So it was very important to us.
I know that the demo is out now, but when do we expect full release or even early access?
Okay. The demo is out now. Early access, we plan to come out in about a month or so. 2 months or so. And full release in about a year or so.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. What is one thing that you really wanted the game, but you had to cut it?
We're working on that right now, but the melee ability, we didn't cut it, but it's something that it's still in development right now, because we encourage you strongly to be power sliding through an arena, and what winds up happening is you just come in contact with the enemies in a very intimate way. Just really quickly, you come up on them. And right now, melee is an upgrade that you earn. And we're like, man, we always want you moving. Maybe we should just make melee, like the base melee, something you just have immediately. And then you work on, or you activate it as you see fit. And then you just continue to upgrade that. So That's something we're working on right now.
My first thought when you mentioned melee and how much we move in time, it makes me think of your inspiration with anime, where they always have like the samurai does 20 slashes in a second.
Yes, we love that stuff. So, yes, and then like when you're using your power, things like the Matrix and Neo using his bullet time power, just stuff like that was very inspirational to us. And getting that to feel right in a video game, while you're doing it live in real time, is something we've really worked on hard to accomplish. Because we want you to feel that way. We want you to feel like a superhero with this incredible superpower, and to feel good and look good doing it.
I don't know if it's public knowledge yet, but I heard what the story was. I'm like, oh shit, that's so cool.
Yes. We do have a story, and what's happening is you are a scientist that worked on time travel. And in most time travel stories, you want to avoid your past self. Like if you go into the past, you don't even want your past self to see you. In our game, you worked on time travel, and it almost opened like a Pandora's box. So world governments, mercenaries, everybody's trying to get their hands on it. And your future self has lived through that devastation, through all of that war, and realizes at some point, I have got to go back to the Chronos event, to the moment I first turned on time travel, and I've got to stop it. So she's coming back to just seek your help doing it. So she's not trying to avoid you at all. She's like, we got to stop this now. And so we thought that would be a really interesting thing. Instead of trying to avoid your past self, like you're going right up to your past self and saying, look, we messed up really bad. We got to fix this together. And of course, your younger self hasn't lived through that devastation. So she's like, come on, we're these incredibly intelligent scientists. There's got to be another way than destroying it. But your future self has lived through that devastation. So she's like, no, there's no other way. We got to destroy it. So you're trying to find like a third option together.
I'm really excited. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I'm here with the creator of the tabletop game Inc. Well, I guess, would you say it's tabletop or more board game oriented?
It's a tabletop RPG.
And just give me the elevator pitch about it.
Sure. Inc. is a tabletop RPG where you play as the spirits of characters who have died in other campaigns, and you're trying to escape the afterlife. So the more that you die, the stronger you get, because you only level up on a total party kill.
I remember when I was told about the game last year, it's like, well, yeah, you only level when you die, but how can you just not kill yourself? And there's a whole mechanic in place to prevent that.
Yeah, so every character is actually two different parts, a spirit and a shadow. And your spirit is your personality, some of your memories, and what really makes you kind of human. And your shadow is your kind of emotions that you've brought into the afterlife with you. Your shadow always protects you, but also holds you back. And so part of it is coming to terms between your spirit and your shadow before you can move on out of the afterlife.
And what similar game system would you say this is akin to with mechanics?
Yeah, as a tabletop RPG, it's D6 based, but it really is a custom system. So it's not like other D6 dice pools out there and things like that. But I will say on the video game side, it really was inspired by Hollow Knight, Hades, and Spiritfarer kind of smashed together. And so you'll see a little bit of each of those, whether it's going back to recover your equipment, or like kind of a boon system that is using coffee instead, or uncovering these memories over time.
That boon system reminds me of, I can't remember what anime it was, this man, he gets isekai to another world, and the deity's like, if you just give me like some pancakes, I'll be nice to you. What about like unlikely sources of inspiration for this game?
Yeah, I don't think I've talked about this too much, but I think one of the inspirations for the original concept of it was really kind of that the comic book Spawn. So if you've seen it, right, like the original premise, which got a little muddied over the years, but the original premise was that every time you use a power, you kind of run down a little bit, and you have this clock that's ticking, right? And that's the complete opposite feeling in Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like the clock isn't ticking; it's just going up astronomically every step of the way. And so for Inc., it really is starting with the understanding that this will end. If it goes well, it will end, and coming to terms with that. And it's just such a different feeling than Dungeons & Dragons and other games.
And then what about things that you weren't able to put in, but you wish you could make happen for the game?
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves these ghosts that you meet along the way that sell these caffeinated elixirs. They're called baristas, and you meet them in these little cafes. And there's just so much lore around them and around the ink itself, because the ink is just one facet of the afterlife. And so a lot of times when we're doing demos here at cons, I can talk about that and all of the kind of apocrypha that goes along with it. But none of that made it into the book, because for the book we really tried to make it really, this is the essentials, this is an efficient little book that you can take. But that's why we continue to release new lore through Cozy Companion magazine and some of our other products.
And so I know we're able to buy it, but where can we buy it? Maybe what website, what stores can we find it in?
Yeah, so you can always buy it directly from us at snowbrightstudio.com. We're also at most of the PAXs, Gen Con and Origins and some other conventions, but really we love to support friendly local game stores. So if your game store doesn't have it already, put in a request and chances are they can find it in distribution from us.
Awesome, thank you so much for your time. I'm back at the Lost Eidolons booth. It's been 2 years since I've seen you. If you could just introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm a creative director for the Lost Eidolons. My name is Jin-Sang Kim.
And this is your spin-off title, Veil of the Witch. I remember you saying that the first title was more focused on story, but this one's more focused on combat. Why the switch?
We had a lot of compliment saying that our combat was so fun, but the way we present the story was not that awesome, and we got that feedback saying so we wanted to develop more into the combat this time, because I wanted to experiment some things. Well, actually the game I was thinking of it as a DLC or some feature in the original game, but then given that all the feedback like that, we wanted to focus more on combat and do some more experiments, and so adding more of the log-write elements in the game, and you've seen that how you level up during the battle and get the skill card, and so we wanted to kind of experience a lot of games. That's why this game isn't like exactly sequel to the original game, but a spin-off.
And so what's the story for this one, and how does it differ?
Well, this story is simple. The main character loses his memory, and he's in his way back to gain his memories. But along the way, he finds out that there's some big conspiracy going on in the island. So that's how the story is about how he resolves the problem.
And I remember for the first one, we were pulling a lot from Asian history. What about for this one? Are you pulling from any unlikely sources?
Well, it's connected to it. So there's some Eidolon ruining the island. So there's some connections, and we share the world together. So yes.
And what was the biggest challenge with developing this version of the game?
Well, it's like it's kind of hard to think of log-write or log-like with a strategic RPG.
Okay.
Because most of log-write or log-like games are very short and action-packed and easy to play again and again. But the strategic RPG is, by nature, it takes some time. For example, our battles from the original Lost Eidolons, that took about one battle took about 30 minutes to 1 hour. So how this challenge was for me to shorten the time that users take, during the combat.
And then you were talking about if you did another title, you wanted to pull from Korean, Chinese, and Japanese history. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I have all kinds of ideas, a lot of history stories. So maybe if I'm allowed to go with the sequel, I was thinking of having the war between the old Korean and Japanese invading Korea. So So I was thinking of having the island. We have a big island in the world, and then that setting to be Japanese, and the continent being Korea and China, and going against each other.
So because you have multiple games from the same company, is there any overlap in terms of, hey, here's Adam's helmet from Lost Islands, but it's in this other game? Anything like that?
Right now, I can't think of it, except that we share the art team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then they come up with the different styles. So, I mean, we share the resources, but not like exactly.
Well, it's pretty good that you have artists that are very versatile and able to do this style, then this style, then this style. And I think you have, 4 games out of your company, and you're a fairly young studio, too.
Well, it's been 4 years, and besides sharing the art resource, our team is small. I mean, for Lost Islands, Bait of the Witch, we only have 7 people, including me, there will be 8. So relatively very small team, but we're packed with the experiences. So I think it's cool.
And is there a demo available to the public right now?
Right now, the Bait of the Witch is available. I think it's probably by tomorrow. It's been here for 2 weeks since the Gamescom, so we are closing by I think tomorrow.
For the demo or for the full release?
The demo will be.
And when can we expect the full release?
Okay, I hope that we go to early access probably this November. We're working on it, and for the full release, it will be probably next summer. Not shorter than 6 months from the early access, but not longer than 1 year, I'm expecting. And on full release, we will be available on Nintendo Switch,
Cool.
PlayStation, and Xbox, along with the PC.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.